Welcome back for part 2 of color selection factors. Actually, let me go right back to, remember we left off with this slide that said the second factor is the perception of the space, and there are 4 sub-factors that can influence the perception of the space: the available light, the room size, the adjoining colors, and the texture of the colored surface. So in this video, we're going to go over the A, B, C, D here. So the perception of the space, available light, is how the room is oriented to sunlight. Like if you get really bright morning sunlight in your room, that would affect the colors in the room in a different way than if it's really dark in a room in the morning, or if you get the sunset type of light in the room. That's a different golden type of color than morning light color. The amount of sunlight in the space, so not just the color of the sunlight and how it's oriented, but like how big the windows are, because it might be oriented towards the sun and the sun beams in, but if the window is small, you don't get as much of that beam. And then if it's a big old window and it beams in, it's a lot of really bright light. And then the color of electric light in the space, which means any not natural lights, lamps, overhead lights, sconces, ceiling fans, things like that. Be sure, the reason that we talk about this is to be sure that you view the paint you want in a room before you choose it, because of these factors. It can affect it so much. We talked about metamerism. It's the same thing as metamerism. So here is like one color that looks vastly different in 3 different types of lights. Totally different effect. B is the room size. So how big a room is can determine what type of color you're going to want to use in the room. So warm colors and dark colors can make larger rooms seem cozier. They could also make a small room seem smaller than it actually is. Cool colors and light colors make small rooms seem larger than they actually are. They also don't make rooms feel as inviting as the warm and dark colors. So it just depends on your preference. So if you have a really small bathroom, that's probably the smallest room in your home, you probably want to use a light color so that it does not feel as cramped. You do not have to. I don't follow that rule, honestly. I just don't put light colors anywhere. But that would be what to do ideally to make spaces seem larger than they are. C is perception of the adjoining space, adjoining colors. So there we go. Colors having relationships to each other, and your perception of colors affected by nearby colors. So if you can see the color of a room next door in the room you are in, your eye is still going to pick up on the colors from all the rooms that it can see. And what's going to happen is your eye is picking up on that, and your brain is thinking, like, do these things match? Does these look good together? You're making those judgments. We say we don't judge, but we totally judge. So any items that will remain in your space would need to be considered, like, for example, furniture and flooring that you're not going to get rid of. You have to remember to include those when you're thinking about choosing new colors for a room, because those are things that you can't change. Like if you have a really, really, really dark floor, you might want to choose a not so dark wall so you don't seem like you're in a black box, because you're not going to get rid of your floor most of the time. So colors found in rooms that are visible from the space being considered. This picture, I think, is a great example. So back here, we have a little kitchen kind of thing, and it's got like a dark turquoisey gray and white floor. There's a little chalkboard with a goldish frame, and there is a wooden countertop and white cabinets. So out here in this little, I don't know what this room is. It might be a full-on living room, but I can't see a whole lot. So I'm going to call it a nook. I don't know, because I just see a little piece of it. they have all of those elements out here also, probably because they thought, well, what can I see in that kitchen? Because I need to bring it out here so that these rooms connect and they don't look like two disjointed spaces, because you can't see them from each other. Um, so the color on the wall matches the color on the floor. The frame out here is similar to the frame here, and the white and the wood ties into the white and the wood in the kitchen. There you go. Last slide. Excuse me. Texture of colored surface. This is a weird one. So you can have one color, and this picture is white, and it will look lighter on smooth surfaces and darker on textury surfaces. So it looks lighter on smooth surfaces because they reflect more light, and reflections are very, very, very light colors, whereas shadows we associate with like gray and black. They're darker colors. So in this room, we have many things that are white. We have walls, we have the couch, and we have the rug. So the least textured white thing in this room is the walls. I need a nap. Or the couch. They're about the same amount of texture. So they are pretty much the same-ish color of white. Well, it's also sitting on a rug, and we know that the rug has more texture than the walls and the couches. And it looks slightly darker than the couches and the walls because of that texture, because in between all those little rug hairs, you're getting shadows. And shadows are gray or black, and that gray or black is mixing with your white, therefore making a darker white or a lighter gray. Okie dokie. You have 2 questions that go with this video. Again, straight off an old test, so you get an idea of exam questions. And the second one. And we will finish this tomorrow.